Ahoy. What's up, everybody? See Clem's in here. Let me know how sound and video is. Lewis is in the other room. Bill's in the other room. Got a couple other people that might be popping in uh, shortly. Okay. Hello, sir. Rich Elb. Sounds good. Sweet. Sam Russell. Having initiative. Yes. Just finishing the tuna casserole. We imported a French chef this evening to cook us dinner. Then, oh, what's up, Bill?
Need help with something?
I mean, like, if you're ready, we can do the thing.
Oh, give me 2 minutes.
Sounds good. Yep, so Bill will be back in a second. So we're going over just what we're talking about today is the class we had this weekend, the martial arts first aid kit. It's a class that Bill put on, hosted by Sonny. So he and Sonny, he can tell the story himself, but he and Sonny have known each other for a while through a lot of the Sistema, cool guy ninja stuff. But the way that Bill will be able to put it in the actual terms, but the way that this works, it's more of like it was like a body work class. It's the softer side to Sistema, if that can make sense. But that's also through my limited perspective. Like Rich Elb, did Clem surrender to the needs of his culinary skills? Yes, it was very good. Adam Hall, what's up? Sweet. Okay. But let's see. And then, if you guys recall, it was 6 months ago. We had Bill here for a different class, longevity and motion, and that was a very similar concept, but over two totally separate parts of the body. Um, I'm sure we're going to rehash it, but the first day, like we're breaking down the like specific workable spots in the foot, and so there's 26 bones, and then there's multiple ways that we would work those, and then by the end of the first day, we'd really gotten through six, like a very deep uh, sort of understanding of what was going on, and then the way that Bill can explain it is like all the things that happen in the feet, like our connection to the ground is going to carry up through the rest of the body.
Where should I sit?
You can sit in the middle if you want.
Or no?
And then
Here we are.
then we can put Lewis in the captain's chair. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just running them through like what the class was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a couple of these dudes probably watched the one we did the after action the last time, and they kind of probably knew a little bit of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured you could probably explain it better than I could.
Kind of give me up to speed what exactly you were saying about it.
So I was just going over like the first day, like we were breaking down, like working on the foot and like how all the weird things that are going on, like the tension in our feet, kind of carries up the rest of the body in places that we might not exactly think.
Sure. So the first bone we worked on was the heel. And every time we walk, every time we step, that heel is striking the ground. And based on the shoes that we wear or accidents, injuries, surgeries, traumas that we have, it affects the tension all the way up the body. So if we're talking about gun work, um, your ability to move is going to be determined by the tension in your heel. If we
Yeah.
break it down in the simplest way of understanding, and then we worked with the talus, which is the bone that the tibia, like your shin, if you follow your shin all the way down to your foot, the bone that the tibia sits on is the talus. So between the heel and the talus, every time you're taking a step, it's affecting the tension in other parts of the body, into the foot, up the leg, into the hips and lower back, up into the neck and shoulders. So what we were doing was systematically going through the foot and releasing the tension in these bones that affect how your ankles feel, how your hips feel, how your lower back feels, neck, shoulders feel. And a lot of the guys in the class were feeling that connection, that everything's connected.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, uh, very similar to my impression of the last class is like it seemed like it's such a weird thing that like everything is pretty connected, and then the things that people think that they kind of got down, like if you said, "Hey, part of this class is going to make you walk better," be like, "Okay, well, like I know how to walk,
Mm-hmm.
and I've kind of been doing it more or less the same. Like I don't have any like super effective injuries, but it's definitely you can tell that things have been built up over a long time."
Well, everybody's turned an ankle at some point in time.
Right.
And there's the idea that we're told that, well, you're more likely to turn an ankle again because you turned the ankle the first time. Well, it's not because that's how it's supposed to be. It's because we don't know how to get the bones back into place before we turn the ankle.
Right.
And that affects how we walk, how we sit, how we stand, how we move. So by releasing those tension patterns, in this case, in this class that we had dealt with the foot, it translates up the body and you move better. So you're with uh, the bill drill time
Yeah.
speeds up, right?
Yes.
That's what we're shooting for.
Yeah. So this is like if you want to get a fantastic world class extra grandmaster bill drill, this is the class for you.
Yeah, right. No, but it's like it's the idea that if we're driving, if you look at the body and compare it to a car, it's like we're driving with our foot on the gas and our foot on the brake at the same time.
Right.
And in order to get the car to go faster, you don't necessarily have to step on the gas harder. You just got to take your foot off the brake. So, this tension that builds up in the body as a result of our life experiences, our stresses, our injuries, we start releasing these tension patterns in the physical body, and the body just moves easier. The body moves faster, more efficiently. It doesn't have to work as hard because now that tension is immediately
Yeah.
released in the body.
Oh yeah, and it's a weird experience. So like saying it, like hopefully this clicks for you guys because most of you guys aren't retards, but most. So well, I guess some of you probably are, but like consider this like an experiential knowledge, kind of like we talk about like the downrange drills. Like you gotta feel it to kind of get a glimpse of what's going on. But we had other people you know do some work, and then we're working on the foot, and then they feel it in their shoulder, like
Mm-hmm.
everything's connected. And like you know these you had a story about a guy that like uh injured his back, and then part of that was like how he landed from a jump,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then the
yeah,
the reason he landed kind of funny from the jump was you know shortly like early childhood he had surgery on his feet, and
yeah.
then that had just stayed with him up until the point where he broke his back.
Right. So our patterns that happen throughout our life determine how we injure ourselves. Uh, I was working on. Everybody know Clem?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, he's right there.
Clem's in the
If you don't know Clem, he's the French guy. We might pull him in here.
Clem. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I think it'd be okay. Um, so he put a knife through his hand. That's what we found out was what was going on with his shoulder. So
Hmm.
he put a knife through his hand, had a bunch of stitches in his hand. So he was protecting the hand. Now he goes to jujitsu. Now he moves, and
Mm.
he's moving with this protection in his arm, in his elbow, in the shoulder, and now he stresses it.
Right.
Well, it hurt the shoulder. It hurt into the back. It pulled into the lat and all of that. And it wasn't because what he did in jujitsu or moving was wrong. It was because his body had reacted to when the knife was in the hand, all the stitches, that automatic reflex to protect. And then he got an injury
Hmm.
in the shoulder. That we found out today, which is the same type of story we were talking about with the my buddy that broke his back when he fell off a ladder, and then he was in high school, landed funny in a basketball jump. And it wasn't the back that was wrong, it was the fact that he had had surgery on his feet, and that created tension in his legs, which went to the certain vertebrae in his back,
Hmm.
the tension pattern that was going on. And many people without awareness, they're going through life and they don't realize these connections. And until we start, they may be going to a chiropractor, they may be going to a massage therapist, they may be doing all sorts of different types of styles of body work. But if you're not doing something that's calming the nervous system, it's kind of like talking about floodwaters. You can't begin to address or clean up what's going on until the floodwaters recede.
Right.
And the floodwaters in this case is the tension in the nervous system.
And then for those watching that don't know, I was kind of leading into it a little bit, like how this might be considered the softer side of some of the things that we do here. They might not know exactly what you mean by like the direct and indirect. If you wanted
Okay,
to let a
sure.
couple of them know, like I'm sure Rich is former ninja dude. Joints are messed up, whatever. So
Uh-huh.
like he'll go to a massage therapist and he'll
Mm-hmm.
do some of those things, but there's a lot like when you say body work.
Spoiler alert, he's still all fucked up.
Yeah, like
Okay.
when you say body work, like that's like without having watched your podcast with Sunny
Oh,
the
you
first
work
time,
on cars.
right? Yeah, like oh, body work, you mean like massage or whatever?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's opposite of massage. It's opposite of chiropractic because there's two ways to approach the body. There's a direct approach and an indirect approach. Direct approach is going to be like deep tissue massage, Rolfing, chiropractic, where you're digging into what is going on and forcing the body to do something that it really doesn't want to do. You get that hurt so good feeling. And you will affect a change on the body, but on some level, the body's hitting the brakes, going, we're not going to go any deeper because that hurts. We'd swear in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That shit hurts. And when you understand that and you go in an indirect approach where you're creating comfort in the physical body, you can bypass all of the guarding and tension patterns of protection and affect the entire structure, relax the entire structure, as opposed to just that one muscle that you may be rubbing on for 10, 15 minutes. So you can get more done in less time. You're more efficient and you're relaxing the tension in the nervous system so you increase the body's capacity of recovery. So, especially for guys that are aging and they want to still continue their training or training as hard as they've been or whatever it is, recovery becomes even more crucial.
Did you tell him how we can improve our build drills?
Yeah, we covered
Did
that
you guys
already.
talk
Yeah,
about that? I mean, the important stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that to me, like when it was very cool doing the foot stuff and feeling my walk around the room
Mm-hmm.
kind of change, and some stress points or you call them pain points on the
Pain pattern interrupts
so
is what I call it.
so feeling where when we did our initial walk around the room, and I'm like, okay, when I step with my left foot,
Mm-hmm.
like I kind of feel this going on,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling that change after you know the work on the
Heel.
bone in the heel.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this is definitely effective. But then the hand stuff really kind of blew my mind because the having the feeling like I didn't get up after one heel was done and walk around and like feel the difference of that, but like my hands kind of always feel like my hands,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And after having work done on one hand and then like kind of doing some of this,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a glove had been removed
Mm-hmm.
that was still on the other one, like a, you know, almost like there's exercise bands attached to this one that like have to be compressed, or I'm squeezing Play-Doh or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's restriction, where this one was just kind of feeling so free.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I tried messing around with stuff that we would do, you know, in terms of like trigger isolation
Mm-hmm.
work, and that improved like, and what was that, you know, 10 minutes maybe
Mm-hmm.
of work, and it was like night and day difference on something um, very applicable with the work that I do or we do,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to firearms. And like as that work was getting done to my hand, I'm seeing Sonny have some kind of breakthroughs in thought, and he's playing with blue gun, and I'm like I can kind of tell what he's cooking and working on.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I really felt it, I was like, all right, yep, that's what he was trying to figure out there, and I'm tracking.
Mm-hmm.
So
What was the term that he found out? Sympathetic. Do you know? Do you remember that one term? It's like instead of the fingers moving individually, it's like
Sympathetic responsive something.
yeah, so like, and it's basically like um, everything fires together,
mm-hmm.
and it affects the trigger pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm the non-gun guy
Yeah.
of the group, so I just look at it from neurological and movement. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm looking at. And I'm asking you where's the glitchy points?
Right.
And then once I understand what the glitchy points are, then we can release that pattern in the neurology. Then you get more access to the capability of individual
Yeah,
movement.
it's like in theory they say you're supposed to have your finger very high up off the trigger guard, so you're introducing a whole bunch of tension. But that's because if you were to fall, like people falling kind of instinctively grab sympathetically, and same thing goes when they go to press the trigger. Sometimes the thumb will try and press from this side, or sometimes these three will tighten down more as that's going.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pressing the trigger with their hand versus just the finger.
Got it. You want to?
I don't know if we're allowed to have blue guns. We have
You got
the
drill.
Milwaukee. Yeah. So
Bam.
don't worry. Doesn't have a bit in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so typically you'd want to have like that kind of gap between so that if you were to fall and clench this, that's getting buried against the gun versus having the ability to be where your hand is naturally lined up, but not
Got it.
sympathetically press off when you're not trying to. So I think the way the Russians countered that was by pushing forward actively
on the trigger guard.
Yeah.
I remember. It's funny.
Against the trigger guard, and then beat the crap out of each other until they can do so without it.
Got it.
A little bit more direct approach.
Yeah.
So it looks like Rich has a thing. It says, I use extreme deep tissue to the point of damage, force the body to focus on repair instead of the two arthritis attacking my body.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the hard way.
So
there's an easier way, Rich.
If you're okay, we can share that screen. Yeah. So anything that's up on that screen, I can put up there, and you could walk him through where he could find some.
Oh yeah, like this is my website, and this is the members area of the website. We might want to go.
You got to go up to the other screen. There you go.
Got it. Let me get another tab open and type in the knee pain guru.
You gotta click the thing, Lance.
Oh
no, it's gone. It's just Bluetooth. The knee pain.
Knee. Yeah, just hit return. Okay, so this is my website, and this right here is the members area where we just were in. And like Rich, if you give me an idea of what the what you're dealing with, there's specific videos in this members area that I could point you towards. Is he what is it? Where's Rich? I use extreme deep tissue to the point of damage, forces body to focus on repair instead of to the arthritis attacking my body. So one thing to understand about arthritis is it is all diagnosis dehydrated joint, no matter what kind of arthritis it is. So it's like walking around with your fist gripped really hard. And if you do that, grip your fist really hard and you open up the fist, it'll be white, and then it'll turn to normal color. Do we need to go to the...
No, I was going to try and open on the big screen you showing that. But I missed my moment.
No, we could do it again.
That good an editor in real time.
Yeah. So, Rich, if we're looking at tension, all baseline, all arthritis is diagnosed as dehydrated joint. So it's like the joint is tensing up in a certain way, in a certain spot that causes the fist. Like we'll use the fist as an example of a joint. If I squeeze the fist really, really hard just for a few seconds, open the fist up, it'll be white. And then it turns pink as the blood rushes back into the hand. And when you have arthritis, whether the arthritis being in the knee, the hip, the spine, shoulder, you have a tension pattern going on in the joint as well. This is what slows down the bill drill. Okay?
And so that deep tissue work,
yes,
to like kind of put the things, because I don't really understand how that works either. Would that be like, so I have this problem in the joint of my shoulder, this arthritis,
Right.
and I could like abuse my tricep, bicep, pec,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll kind of take away the or perceived pain, right? Because now I've got some other kinds of pain going on here. So
Mm-hmm.
it takes away the perceived pain of the joint. Where, like, if we did
Yeah.
some of your module stuff,
Yeah.
we're actually just kind of getting that space in the joint where it can be rehydrated.
Yes.
Would that be the.
Yeah. I don't know what the deep tissue, I understand what it's meant to do. Or, you're kind of pushing the body to a place of discomfort, and then somehow the body's supposed to be out of pain after you put it in more pain when it started out in pain. Like, I don't totally get it. Like, if
Okay.
you talk it through,
Like-
it's a very
Like beatings will continue until morale improves?
Yeah, like beating a dead horse kind of thing. And that's why people end up getting joint replacements, because they don't understand what's going on, including the doctors. They really don't understand on a deep enough level. They're having surface conversations about what's going on in a joint, but they're really not being present to what actually is happening in the joint, what that person is experiencing. And then when we start understanding and listening to what the person is saying, and we can shift those neurological patterns that are developed in the shoulder as a result of a repetitive injury or an accident or something that has happened, an emotional experience, now we can begin to get the shoulder to relax. When it relaxes, it's like the fist opening up, and the blood and oxygen begin rushing into the joint. The synovial fluid gets in the joint, can lubricate the joint, and begin to heal what's going on. So, what do we got?
What do you guys got as far as question goes?
Yeah, and then so another thing is like who is this for? Because like, of course, the first people that I got brought to my mind were people that were suffering from repeated injuries that built up. It's something like the boat that my dad's in, and I would consider Rich one of the dudes that could really benefit from this. But then like the counterpoint, at dinner, which it's like everybody has messed their ankle up and done these things. Like it's weird to say, but like this class is for everyone. Like even if you haven't, you don't think that you've had this injury, like there's a lot of things that I haven't really injured, but like once you take it away, like he said, it's like taking the brakes off. Like, and that's like, I was talking about, say Rich, because he's jumped out of planes and messed himself up. Like I haven't done that, and I got a tremendous amount of like relief out of what was going on. So it's really for everybody. But
yeah, it's like it. A lot of people ask me that. Well, who will it work for? And what I found, the people that it works for are people who are kind of sick and tired of what doesn't work,
right,
and they're open and they're looking for something new, something different, something that isn't so painful. Because what happens is pain begins to fatigue the body.
right,
Like dealing with pain when we're a teenager, when we're in our 20s or even into our 30s is a different animal than if we're dealing with pain and it gets progressively worse into our 40s, 50s, and 60s.
right.
And we can take so much pain medication, and then eventually, because the body continues to compensate and get tighter and get more painful, the effectiveness of the painkillers begin to wear off. So now the only option that they're seeing is going to a doctor, getting the joint replaced, maybe getting a cortisone or a steroid shot or PRP or hyaluronic acid injections into the joint as a means of getting relief on some extent. And that can possibly but it's a band-aid at best. It's not systematically looking long term for the long term uh, for the longevity of the body and teaching the body to heal itself. It's slapping that band-aid on there and then putting you back in the game. But the reality of it is the unless you're getting paid for what you're doing, like if you're a professional athlete and you're getting compensated for beating the shit out of your body, I don't understand the payoff of continuing to do something that makes you feel worse, that it continues to
Is
degrade over time.
that it may be an ego thing? You
Totally,
think?
totally
Like,
ego.
because you can grow some serious ego by doing that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, there's a self worth aspect to it. It's like I'm not doing something unless I get the shit beat out of me. And that was a big lesson for me in Sistema. You know, it was like a lot of people, and Sonny talks about it a lot, getting hit, which you can learn a lot from being hit. But not everybody has the capacity to get hit as hard as they did the day before or harder and continue to learn from it. At some point, based on how you feel or what's going on mentally, emotionally, what's going on in your life, you may not need to get the hardest hit you can possibly get. And I was going after practice, and it's like, okay, I'm going to see how much I could take. And it was like continuing pushing the edge. But I realized it was a instructor of mine at the time that said, you got to look at your mental state. You're doing it for self abuse, not for learning. And when that penny fell, it was like, oh, now what do I do? So
Yeah.
there's a depth to having an instructor there to kind of point out those nuances that aren't always apparent when people go into they fall into the ruts of this is what I've done and this is what I've always done, so this is what I'm always going to do
Right.
until my body breaks, and then I can't do that anymore, and I'll figure if I could get a shot or something to and tape and get myself back in the game. But as you get older, you got to mature, you got to evolve, or not.
Yeah.
Let's jump back, see if any comments popped up.
Fuck you.
Uh, well, Clem is in, I guess, from some of the what we were talking about earlier.
The foot stuff was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's French, so they're a little
Yeah.
bit weird on
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But earlier you walked me through the website and the multiple ways that you have of being able to
Work.
teach.
Yeah.
Because that's right. Do you see yourself primarily as a teacher
Mhm.
in that?
Mhm.
Because I'd say like care provider, yes, but you're also
Yeah.
helping people kind of learn how to be their own care providers.
Yeah.
Like where we try and maybe teach people to be their own first responders.
Right.
Like you're giving them the tools that they need to do the things
So they
that
can
will.
evolve as a person,
Mm-hmm.
because if a person has a lower back issue, it's not, and you're working where you're quieting the nervous system so the lower back pain goes away, your awareness is going to be drawn to other areas in your body because you've quieted the nervous system, not because you've increased the pain. And you can't become aware of what's underlying in the lower back if you cause the lower if you cause the lower back to increase in pain,
Right.
thinking that you're going to get it out of pain. So I'm there for the journey with my clients to teach them more about their body and how they're empowered with simple things that they can do uh, as they live their life. Like we did the one thing with you were talking about the shoulders.
Yep.
We were dealing with tension in your shoulders. Yep. And I gave you the two videos in the, where are we?
You've got to go
I gotta go
onto
over
that
there.
screen.
Okay, so whoa, too far.
Just wing it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like a SIG 320 trigger. It kind of does what it wants.
I just learned about a SIG 320 earlier today. And I learned about the bill drill last week. So we're really, my learning curve's steep right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one we talked about with you was the stutter step.
Mm-hmm. And you can play video. They'll be able to hear the sound, or they should be able to. Let us know as soon as a video plays if you can hear the sound.
There you go.
Ready? Okay. We're going to, this is going to be an addition onto the stutter step, which is the, walk toward you. Okay. So in the walking, we're going to exaggerate the pattern wherever it's comfortable, and then we're going to continue to walk. So what this was doing is looking at the gait. We're looking at how the patterns are in the hips and the knees and the ankles and the feet, and you can trace that all the way up into the shoulders and the neck, and you can mirror the pattern that's going on with the body and use this stutter step in just take a couple of steps that will reset the pattern and release the tension in your shoulders. So initially I gave you the homework, when we're talking about homework, in the
the thing on the left.
This one?
Mm-hmm. That'll make us big.
So we were dealing with the tension patterns in your shoulders, and you can use that stutter step as a way of resetting the patterns in the shoulders. By engaging the reflexes in the feet, they reset the pattern all the way up. That was just one example. And I said initially, work with that. Practice that like 5 minutes a day. No big deal. But then begin incorporating it when you walk from your truck to the grocery store,
mm-hmm.
or the bank, or wherever you need to go, where you find you're taking steps, taking the garbage out. You can reset these patterns as part of your daily life as a maintenance, instead of it being like, okay, I'm going to do something where my body hurts and now I got to go to physical therapy, or now I got to go do something to take care of myself. You can weave this into your life in a way where you're freeing up these patterns on a regular basis, so your build drill continues to improve.
And it sounds like, I love that you've kind of downplayed or explained that you're very humble when it comes to talking about firearms and your kind of awareness of them. But it's funny that you pick up on things. Like we'll throw a video on, like, okay, Bill, like, take a look at this guy's movement, like person X. And like, Bill will just be like, it seems, well, before he moves, like, it seems kind of silly that like his magazines are out here and his gun is like this far from his body. Like, that's putting his shoulders in weird positions already. And that's before he even moved. We're like, yes. So these guys would appreciate that.
Well, a lot of it is people being disconnected from their body. Like we all are on some level.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just maybe a little bit more down that continuum of awareness of what's going on in the body so we could bring it to our training,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that training is. Mine primarily is movement, martial arts stuff. But I am learning gun stuff now.
Yeah.
But in that process, that you gain awareness of how you move, that you don't need to go like this in order to move your arm. And when you show me that video of that guy, it looked like in order to do what he was doing like this.
Yeah.
It's an over exaggeration, but to me, when I understand what a relaxed body looks like, and then looking at what this guy was doing on the video, he didn't look relaxed at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just seeing what I see in a physical body when there's tension that builds as a result of a baseline level of tension that most people are unaware of.
Well, and it's a trained eye, and you use the word awareness. I think there's kind of a cool link here
Mm-hmm.
between the awareness that you're speaking of in terms of our relationship with our body with situational awareness,
Mm-hmm.
because to most of these guys it's nothing to be sitting in a room and like some dude just walks in and like we're having a conversation like this and like, oh shoot, like homie just walked in open carrying a 1911, you know what I mean, like it's
Mm-hmm.
cocked and locked, like so like all of that stuff took time to be able to develop,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like first somebody had to say, hey, if someone walks in with a gun, like you should notice them,
Mm-hmm.
So there's these little pieces that where yeah, it took coaching and it took time to be able to see this stuff, but now we see it as part of our everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's the getting dressed and making sure you've got your flashlight, your tourniquet, your gun, your
Mm-hmm.
knife, like making sure you have all that stuff before you leave the house. Like they all know dudes in their life or people in their life that think like, how could you ever like you remember to put a gun on every time you leave the house,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's like that direct connection with things get easier,
Mm-hmm.
and what can seem monumental and like you're being paranoid or oh what are you going to worry about every step you take, like
Mm-hmm.
well maybe yeah for a little while and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll take better steps like after a short time and then
Well, yeah, it's I believe it's referred to as the creative process. There's like this, we get to a place of order, and then we add new information into that, which creates this chaos that we need to reorganize around that chaos to make it order again. And in that place, right after the order to the chaos, is where we learn the most. Like the learning curve starts getting steep. Um, it's like that in any skill that you practice,
mm-hmm,
be it martial arts, be it gun training, be it basketball, whatever it is. And you first start learning these skills, and it's going to feel real awkward. But then as you work with them and you slow it down so you're not skipping over steps, then you pick it up faster. You know, the four levels of competence.
mm-hmm.
You guys,
Yep,
the
these guys will be familiar.
unconscious incompetence,
Mm-hmm.
then what is it?
Conscious incompetence.
Conscious incompetence, and then conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. And that's the process of what you go through when you could begin to heal your own body and take care of yourself.
Well, that's something that I noticed the first time, and then doing it the second time, I was a lot more cognizant of it. Is that like when you peel back a layer of tension, your awareness of other things kind of comes up and be like, oh, I didn't feel that before. You're like, it's not this other thing that is now tense.
Mhm.
It's you peel back a layer and now you're noticing a thing that you were just carrying around before. So you peel back a layer and now you notice more things, and you have to kind of keep peeling that
Yeah,
onion.
yeah. If you want,
Right.
it's one of those things that a lot of people are content being asleep and good with where they're at, and it doesn't make them wrong. It just it's like that's not your people.
Yeah.
That's
But
not who.
that's the same with the gun people,
Sure.
like that choose not to acknowledge certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know,
We were chatting about that. We've been chatting about that.
Yeah.
So, you got any questions? Anybody?
Come on, guys, send some questions. What do you got for Bill? It's like basically having him on a free call.
Well, I guess if they want to say what they have going on in their body, their shoulders,
Yeah.
neck, back, whatever it is.
Sam, what part of your body is most broken currently?
yeah,
Broken.
yeah.
He's another Marine, so
Oh, yeah.
they made him carry heavy things and for a little while, and now he cries about it all the time.
Yeah. Well,
He said yes.
um,
You got to be specific, Sam. That's not how this works.
yeah, there's a guy that trains with me who's a former Marine, and it's part of that entrainment that takes place with what we're familiar with. And he was all about getting back to doing deadlifts again. But the very deadlifts he was doing was a thing that was screwing up his lower back that he was coming to me to help him with. So it was kind of like
I can't wait till the roof of my mouth is healed so I could eat that pizza again.
Right. So when I told him it's all about relaxation and he would feel better, it was a little bit of a disconnect in consciousness to understand that abusing his body further and doing things that he did when he was in his 20s and 30s wasn't exactly going to be working well when he was in his 60s.
Right.
So muscles at the bottom of my right shoulder, muscles at the bottom, front of the shoulder, back of the shoulder, side of the shoulder.
He said between the shoulder blades and the spine.
Shoulder blade and the spine. So, Sam, that it could be the scapula, but it also could be ribs. Because what happens is we get and this is part of the awareness. If we're just creating comfort, then many times, Sam, what I've seen is that there'll be tension patterns that'll develop in the chest as a result of everything that we're doing going forward, reaching forward, driving, sweeping, shoveling, whatever it is, it's all forward. So it creates tension patterns in the chest that will pull the ribs forward. Well, what happens is the rib that's connected in the front goes all the way around to the back. So what he's actually feeling between the spine and the shoulder blade is the head of his rib coming out away from his spine, which can be painful. And normally you have that, you want to stick the elbow in it and you want that hurt so good feeling. But in actuality, you can relieve that by addressing tension patterns that are in the chest, in the sternum, in the rib itself, working with the rib and getting the rib to reset in relationship to the spine in the back. And many times what happens is that'll move up and down because there's multiple ribs and they're all kind of pulled at the same time.
So like one spoke on that tensegrity structure is kind of getting pronged.
Yep. So it might be the shoulder if it's the scapula, but it could be the head of the rib, and then it actually could be a vertebrae. The vertebrae can rotate, it can twist, it can do all sorts of things. So by understanding those patterns better, I've had oh when I started when I did
Yeah. So he said my shoulder's tight from there to from the outside tip of my shoulder up to the right side of my neck.
yeah
Started on jujitsu and
Outside.
never went away.
yeah that was what something similar to what I was working with Clem earlier today, and um, that jujitsu is it's a sport.
One of the sports of all time.
I mean,
Have you seen the meme with the dude where he's like, "Jiu-jitsu is gay"?
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah. It's like I have a lot of respect for jujitsu. They're real effective at groundwork, but this is what I see a lot, that it's not sustainable. I actually, Vinny
Hmm.
sent me some studies that they did, and you know the average life expectancy of a jujitsu player's career. Like if you start training jujitsu today, you know how long you on average, if you took all the jiu-jitsu players in the
Well,
world.
so I don't like stats like that
Okay.
because like the average number of rounds fired through a Glock
Mm-hmm.
is like sub 5
Okay.
because of how many people buy them and just stick it in a sock drawer. So like the dude, like you'd have to give me a minimum to give me some kind of belief in this statistic. If you said like the average lifetime of the jujitsu career,
Mm-hmm.
once someone has made it past the third month,
Okay.
right? Like because
How
that
many people go to one class and never go
yeah,
back?
that one the one class number is going to draw down that average
Yeah.
so hard. But sorry, I
Uh,
don't mean to talk
well, they.
statistics and
I mean, I'm not a big fan of statistics either,
yeah,
but it was jujitsu people doing studies
yeah,
on jujitsu stuff,
Right.
so I
yeah,
was going to use their
yeah.
statistics.
Not
It
math
was
whizzes
six
potentially.
6 to 8 years.
Wow.
Okay,
That's it.
so that's longer than I thought you were going to say based on that
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah.
I was saying. Okay,
And they were
wow.
talking about the high number of injuries
Mm-hmm.
that were happening in the elbow from
Hmm.
that. But then what Sam's talking about, a lot of times those jujitsu guys, as they're fighting to keep the
There's a
arm,
lot of
it,
tension in
it
there,
goes
huh?
up. Where they're pulling from the scapula into the spine, all the tension in their chest, keeping that tight. It goes up into their neck.
Hmm.
So, um, which is cool if you're in your 20s, teens,
Is
20s. But I just don't
would
see.
would something to like so seeking comfort
Uh-huh.
is something that can be done. Is that what you were doing with, I think it was Orion last time you were here, where you put like a weight plate
Yes.
on his chest?
Yeah. So he was having stuff in his back, and you put the weight plate on the chest, and what it did is it took the tension off of the back. Same kind of concept of what I'm talking about with Sam, with what's going on in the back, at the head of the rib, or whatever might be going on.
Then he said, I quit doing it after my shoulder and hand hurt too much to properly pick up a rifle with my right hand only.
Yeah.
Priorities.
Yeah. Oh, that's my wife.
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty
Sovereignty lab.
lab. Wow. I had trouble with that word right there. Words are hard.
Mm-hmm.
You want
You
to,
wanted to jump into numbers just a bit ago.
dude? Well, numbers are way easier than words.
Right.
Okay.
There's like, what, 10 of them?
Yeah, yeah. Like maybe depends. Is zero a
Yeah,
number?
10 or 26. I don't know.
Do you want to give her stuff a quick promotion to these the
Mongoloids?
mongoloids watching? I'm sure they some of them at least would take a look.
Sure. Hey, woman, put up your website.
Throw it in the comments there.
Yeah. She'll do it.
All right. Let's see. What did
Then,
having
so
initiative? Was he
So
saying?
some lingering wrist injury. So up a
Where
couple, the blue one right there. Yep,
that one.
that one.
Some lingering wrist injury. Pain when bending it back to 90 degrees. Can't do push-ups on hands because of it. Fist push-ups can cause tennis elbow flare-up. Yeah, so there's like what we were doing at the end of the day yesterday with the bones.
Yeah.
Like there's, if you start looking at anatomy, and this is what I do with clients.
Yep.
Well, is that, yeah.
Mhm.
So what we would do is look at
It just takes a second for the keyboard to power up.
anatomy of the hand, and then we get this, and then we do.
See, and before this class, I was like, well, the hand bone is connected,
Right.
To the arm bone.
to the arm bone, right? Is that how it works? And
Yeah.
Bill was like, not
Right.
quite.
How'd the song go? Like, there's the leg bone, and then
Yeah, the foot bone's connected to the shin bone.
Let me see. Right, this one.
Shin
No,
bone.
that's not it.
You'd have to do it
This
through the
one?
TV one.
There. No.
The
This
little
one.
that one, yeah.
Do it. Where do I do it?
Like, click on the picture.
That.
Is that what are you trying to make one of those little pictures
Oh yeah.
full screen?
This one.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you
there
go.
we go. Cool. Okay, I need to make that go away. Okay, so this is the wrist injury.
Yeah.
So we need to look at. So these bones in here are what's probably out of place, or the relationship of those bones to the radius here, the main bone, and the lower arm and the ulna. And when those bones get too jammed together, when they're too close together, let me.
How many do we have in there?
Well, let's see if I can count. You want to do the counting, or you want me to?
I got fingers, as long as it's not more than 10.
Do it. Hold on.
You got to control that screen on there.
Okay, so you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27 bones in the hand.
Wow.
So all of these ones that are the between the metacarpals here and the radius and the ulna get jammed in a certain way that doesn't allow the wrist to bend back. And there'll be tension patterns that both go up. They'll go up into the bones, the radius and the ulna, and affect the elbow. And just like when we were doing stuff, you had guys that were feeling it in their shoulder and their neck.
Right.
So you start addressing those tension patterns. Probably get out of there. You address those tension patterns, and then what happens is the range of motion comes back. Not because you forced it to do so, but because you relaxed the tension that was preventing it from doing so.
Interesting.
So it looks like we get like cheated out of a joint in our thumb that our other fingers have. Is that right?
Say that again.
So there's like all the other metacarpals.
Yes.
Then have 3 bones beyond them.
Except for the thumb.
On the phalanges, except for the thumb.
Right.
So like we kind of got gypped on, like we could have a thumb that had another extra little
I know. Yeah.
dude.
Divine design. There's a reason.
What's up? I know that's gonna be like top of the list of questions. Like, dude, thumbs were so badass. Why not like just go the one more?
Have one that
What
I
was
can
the thought process here?
scratch my other ear.
Yeah, like
Okay, what is Rich saying here?
He wants to get information, so he's from North Carolina as well.
He's in Boone. I can roll the Blue Ridge down when you're backing. Okay. Is he the guy that does the radio stuff?
no, that's Evan. Evan was in earlier with the Radio Made Easy.
Right. Yeah. I've connected with Evan.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't. He only lives a couple hours away.
Okay.
From me in Boone. I think that's further west in North Carolina. So yeah, Rich, come down whenever.
Yeah, you gotta put him in the Previlo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then just go out for dinner.
Yes.
So we train. So this is Sistema. We train on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Tuesdays we do Sistema and Previlo, and on what did I say? Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah,
I meant Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yep.
I meant Tuesdays and Fridays, and on so on
and then Sonny was checking in to say what you really think, Bill.
what did I say?
I don't know. Maybe that was just a reminder not to filter.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's probably a good. Okay, so we got what?
Oh, little puppy.
It's Nick's dog. Okay, Previlo. Let's see. We'll share this. So, Rich, you can get an idea of the Russian stretchy machine.
Yeah.
So there's weights in the four corners of the machine, and then on the other ends of the ropes that are connected to pulleys, you attach the ankles and the wrists, and then you end up getting traction. You build strength in traction in the body. So you get an idea of what that looks like. Now, there you have full suspension. And people don't start out in full suspension because physically and psychologically they may not be in a place to work with it. Like we've had some people with trauma, they get on there and we gotta go with lightweight. We may only do the arms or the legs. You can see with full suspension on the machine, you can stretch in nooks and crannies in the shoulders and abdominal region, even into the legs, with the twisting and turning from face down to face up, and face up to face down. You'll hit different angles.
Okay.
We have 3 different positions for the arms, meaning there's 2 that are kind of tight, and then you go out a little bit more, and then there's one out at the side. And the out at the side, you can roll through like a jiu-jitsu roll, and you can stretch your traps and your shoulders in ways that there's no, I don't know anything else you can do it that way.
And you said you can build strength in traction.
Right.
Now I'm feeling dumb because I'm sure there's other ways to do that, but I'm also not so sure. Is that most of the time we're building strength, there's some form of compression?
Correct. We're lifting something. your
Even with body weight or
yeah, it's
whatever it
compression.
is, there's always.
I think the one of the ways that we could potentially is pull-ups, but that's going to be about it.
Okay. Yeah.
However, with the Previlo,
Or the lifting the kettlebell maybe with the, but then there's still compressions
it's
in other
compression. It's
areas.
all compression.
Yeah.
So when you're in traction,
Because
when
you
you're
have
in,
traction on the knee at that point if you're lifting that kettlebell with your foot, right? There's going to be traction in this joint
Mhm,
as you're lifting it, but there's compression going on.
in other areas,
Yeah.
yeah, everything when you're being suspended in the Previlo is in traction,
Hmm.
and you can pull. You can bring your arms, your legs. You're moving dynamically with the Previlo, which is very similar to movement in Systema. And when you get off the machine, you feel like you're 10 feet tall because everything has been decompressed.
Hmm.
And I mean, not the neck so much, but in the body, you're stretching and elongating the joints in the ankles, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the elbows, and the wrists.
Yeah. I give you permission to hook it up to Rich's
Rich,
neck. Yeah. His neck might,
Yeah.
he could use some traction.
okay, let's see. So that is, let's see. Oh, wrong screen. Um, so yeah, that's this is going to be face down, and you can twist the face up. Everybody starts face up initially, and then because it's easier to hang this way than it is to hang this way.
What's the labor intensity of building one of those?
Um, there was a lot of trial and error. It's not too bad. A buddy of mine who is much more mechanically inclined than I am, we were able to put it together in an afternoon.
Okay.
Careful, Josh will have a some kind of redesign of 1,000-year-old, multiple 1,000-year-old Russian machine. He'll have a V3.5 that'll pull in 6 different planes.
Nice.
I don't know how to do that. Clem's an engineer; he'll figure it out.
For instance, this guy, we jokingly said, well, he didn't pay full price. So he only got up to 2. But actually, what happened was he had a back injury going on. And he wanted to stretch out, but he didn't want to stretch out full on. So you can hook up elements of it to create traction to help the body in whatever way it needs. You can also do this to stretch out the shoulders. So that's actually Nick in there. And what you do is kind of like the Systema drill where you
Right.
do it like that. So now you're weighted. So you're turning and you have to keep your center of balance and twist at the same time while there's weights on the other end. But that goes a lot lighter. And this is actually what haven't got a chance to, but I wanted to talk with Sonny about the Previlo and the similar types of movements that you guys were doing in the kettlebell class. Because you can hit those different angles, but now you're hitting them in traction as opposed to compression. But you're going light.
Right.
So it's not, you're not building that bulk in your movement. It's not slowing down a punch or your bill drill time or whatever it is.
The important
stuff. Can't have that.
And you like, here's just something that I was playing around with while I was standing just with the arms hooked up, how I can stretch the shoulder in a bunch of different ways.
And then is that like a freestanding machine, or is that something that you take apart?
No, It's been built once,
Okay.
and it's been there since 2019.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know I've seen I'm guessing steel or aluminum ones, but
Yeah.
it looks like something you really want anchored. Like
Yes.
ideally there'd be some like posts that are no joke, not moving anywhere because it's got to stay square,
Yeah. There's you can
and you
see.
don't want flex or bend.
Yeah. So initially, when I built it, or when we built it, there was only the four posts in the corners, and then we framed the bottom in because it wasn't stable and it would walk.
Mm-hmm.
And then these braces in the back were added because it created more stability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we extended this top bar. Initially, it was 10 feet, and then we extended it to 12. And the 12-foot made a huge difference. My next modification would be taking these 6-foot posts and taking it up to 8 foot.
Hmm.
So there's more. I don't know. Just seems like it would be better, not only for the stretch on the Provilo, but um, from time to time I smack my head on this
Right.
because clients are either stubbing their toes
Yeah.
as they're walking out of sessions because I have my massage table set up in the middle during sessions, and then you're walking out of that and catching the toes or smacking the head or both, which it doesn't
Yeah.
go for good
Yeah.
sessions.
Typically, when you do something like that, it's with like very free movement,
Right.
which
Yeah.
lets
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So we do Sistema and Provilo on Tuesdays, and then on Fridays we have sauna. So we have a wood-fired sauna. I credit this website to my wife because she really put everything together. And let's see. Weekly classes, we do Sistema and Provilo on Tuesdays, and Fridays we do Sistema and sauna and cold plunge as well. I guess I don't go to this website all that much. But yeah, we do the sauna on Friday evenings. So yeah, that's and the thing with the sauna, I'm continuing to learn about it a lot because the sauna can actually give you a cardiovascular workout.
Okay.
The heat in the sauna makes your heart work harder. So you actually get a cardiovascular workout. You're sweating toxins out of your body. It's extremely relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cold plunge helps build capacity to handle cold and build brown fat, which is good fat, healthy fat. And we're also figuring out that the colder is not necessarily better in terms of healthy for the body. Like you're better off doing 50 degrees for a half an hour or 20 minutes or 15 minutes than you are trying to do the coldest water you can possibly get and hang in there for 3 minutes, let's say, or something like that. So we've been playing around with different concepts. And the whole thing is getting the nervous system into a parasympathetic state and feeling better. So that's what the cold plunge, the sauna. We've made an upgrade with the wood stove. We got a bigger wood stove in there, which gets a temperature of 165 degrees pretty easily in there, which is some work to stay in the sauna. And then we've cut some baffles into the sides of the sauna. So there's the concept from a Finnish or Russian style sauna system where the air, the intake hits the heat rising off of the stove and then evenly distributes the heat in the sauna, so you don't have a cold floor, and the temperature is now getting to everybody in the sauna rather than having cold pockets and stuff like that.
Nice.
And also, it helps with carbon dioxide.
Yep.
The when you're in there and you're breathing, my buddy who's I knew through Sistema was Finnish, and he was giving me shit when I was gonna build the sauna because he's like, well, don't build a typical American sauna. He's like, build here. I'll send you plans, and he sent the plans because they have the ventilation system.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I heard it's not great if you pass out in the sauna. Probably not great.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
No.
No.
So Sonny jumped in, dropped a comment: for those who have ears, preventing injuries and bad patterns developing is much more efficient than repairing compounded injuries. Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Something to think about for those, all those injury-free people out there,
right,
who I hate. Stay that way. Right? They don't have to learn through others' mistakes of getting injured before seeking stuff like this. Was it ounce of prevention
is worth a pound of cure?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes more sense. Preventative maintenance.
Then Rich said Lewis is withholding key details, so his body's destroyed because of a parachute failure.
The one below.
Yeah.
So basically, he hit the dirt probably at a pretty high speed.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I mean, that's similar to what happened with my buddy that fell off the 30-foot ladder.
Yeah.
And he had compression of vertebrae. So you could have the injury, yet the mechanisms to release that injury are the same. So it could be because your parachute didn't work properly and you hit the ground, or it could be because you fell off of a ladder.
I think he's just confusing his life with the plot of Rambo 2.
Okay.
But
I mean, I haven't met him yet, so
yeah.
I'm just kidding, Rich.
So Sam said he's got an inversion table. Are those useful?
Yeah, I mean, it can be. They're nice. I think I've tried it a couple of times, but
it's different.
It's linear.
It's just that's more of like a direct thing, even though it's traction.
Well, Previlo is direct. Yeah. Like it's direct. It's stretching the body in a way that whether the body wants to go or not, it's going to stretch the body. And there is a time and place for direct. However, the inversion table is just very linear. It means you're going to hang from it. And maybe you can hang from it at a slightly different angle, but you're still going to hang from it. And the Previlo is, it's more dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You have more options with it. It can be useful as long as you're not causing pain while you're doing it. So, says MK Ultra. What does it say?
Mark 19 is a 77-pound fully automatic grenade launcher. It's great for your back.
Dude, if you got Mark 19, you don't get to complain about how heavy it is.
He didn't get to keep it.
Well, then, yeah, I guess you complain after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything 77 pounds you're carrying around on your back for an extended period of time is going to take its toll.
That was his backup gun.
Wow. Being that I'm the weapons neophyte over here, I will assume that it was bigger.
Are you sandbagging us on that? Are we
What
gonna
do you
get
mean?
out to like? Are we gonna get out to the range, and you're gonna be like throwing an AK mag in the air, like catching it with the AK,
No,
running the
definitely not.
charging handle?
No, no. I mean, I've taken classes, but it's not something that I ever kept up with.
Mhm.
I mean, I took different classes, and if you take two classes over 2.5, 3 decades, does that really count? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, okay, I had exposure to it,
yeah,
but I can't say
familiarization.
I. If we go back to talking about guns, I understand parts and terms and things like that, but I don't have any business talking about it. It's
Yeah,
just that's just the reality of it. So, um, you know, if they're if we're talking about the body, we're talking about movement.
yeah.
I'm there.
Guns are simpler. Like
Well,
you
but
put the thing on the thing,
right, I
you
understand.
press the
Yeah,
thing,
I understand the
it does
concepts
its
of it,
thing. Like
but it's just not my wheelhouse,
yeah.
and I'm not going to proclaim that it
Well,
is.
that's what I
Just
mean. You have this skill set that um, is a lot harder to achieve, and definitely makes you more dangerous should there be a gun in your hand. Like your learning curve to shooting has been shortened in amounts and ways that like you have no idea of right now, obviously, but it's like the path that you've taken
mm,
means that in very short order you'd be able to surpass people that like we were watching the other day
yeah, yeah,
because that movement is just such crap. And like you have the realization already, like you figured it out, like I'd if like that where the target is was shooting back at me, I would want to be moving more than that. like you have that part figured out, and a lot of gun people don't,
yeah,
and they're like they'll they've got like a wall full of certificates, and they'll show you little coins that they shot or something,
yeah.
and
Well, a lot of years I thought, well, maybe I should have stuck around a little longer for the certificate for things that I did, things that I learned, and I never put value in those things. Years in competing in judo or classes I took or things like that, it was just like, oh, well, I did that and that was interesting for a bit, but
mm-hmm,
now I want to learn something else.
mm-hmm,
And I just left those things. So when I would, it was a little bit of a disadvantage, I think, because then I'd talk to people about stuff and they're like, well, you don't, like I didn't have anything to show
oh no,
about
you
what I was talking about. If you're going to, let's say,
competence is like someone can show me their NRA pistol instructor certificate, but competence is not something that you earn a certificate for.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. But there was times where I was looking to, let's say, work on people or
Mm-hmm.
work under, like at a chiropractor's office or something like that, and they're like, well, do you have a massage license?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a massage license. I don't I don't want to slow down my learning by trying to study massage. That's like going in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And I could get better results in a shorter period of time without the massage license.
Yeah.
So uh, that I guess that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. There's certain areas where people that's all they want to see. Show me the science
Yeah.
kind of thing.
There's enough.
What's your bill drill? Yeah.
Yeah,
What's my build
there's
plan?
enough people in the gun industry, and then like that's an issue that Evan deals with radio people, is like they'll whine that like, oh, you don't have your radio license.
Mm-hmm.
That like for some reason you shouldn't be able to check in on your neighbor who's 90 years old. Like you should
Mm-hmm.
have to pay the government for that for some reason.
Yeah, I just got my ham radio thing
Okay.
before I got connected with
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Eben, Eben or Evan,
Evan.
Evan,
Yeah.
and I did get my ham radio license, and that was a process of going through because the mentor I had that was helping me with it had a license. He was in the military. He was my desire to get it or the drive to get it was after that was post Hurricane Helene.
Right.
And you had guys that were at my wife and I opened up Sovereignty Lab um, for the search and rescue, search and recovery guys that were coming in from around the country and walking up and down these ravines looking for bodies or uh, survivors that eventually were bodies that they were looking for. I was working on them, and their bodies were wrecked. So our communication was down for a good period of time because they shut all the cell towers down.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they couldn't have them up because they have diesel generators hooked up to all of them. I don't know why they pulled them all down, but anyways.
So BlackRock
Yeah,
could buy the
we're gonna
land
end up.
Uh-oh. Are we gonna?
An hour and a half in might be a little late to start talking more tyranny and
Conspiracy stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What some
Yeah.
would call
Well,
conspiracies,
right? But back at the radio thing, like that was a thing. A $20 radio kept someone like on on a hill that's flooded, like from people knowing that they're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of it. Like the first thing to break down is communication,
Mm-hmm.
and then even like for the people that like had cell signal and
Mhm.
other stuff, like that was a thing. Bob Lester.
I've heard of the name.
But well, he and I went down to North Carolina a couple times, and then like the North Carolina National Guard has helicopters and they've got supplies, but they had no cargo netting to get it to people.
Oh,
And then we were like literally calling other bases, like, "Hey, like, do you have this? Oh, we have it, but this person needs to call us," and like this stupid stuff,
mm-hmm.
and like Eben was a big part of it, but like I think he made a post. It was like, regular dudes with F-150s and Baofeng radios were doing more than the government.
Oh,
And it was like,
absolutely. Like it was a real testament to the.
It's almost like you'd have to try to do that little.
Right. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I totally, if you're into getting the license thing, that's cool. But the same amount of people that you said for like, oh, you have to go get this massage license are the same people that we deal with in the gun world that like, oh, well, what's your bill drill? Or, oh, well, you were never a Navy SEAL or that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's just silliness. But it's like, Sonny talks about it like the credentialism that like appeals to some people. But like I've seen enough people that were like, it's like the schools that like you get your black belt and you're like, my 7-year-old's a black belt. And I was like, yeah, they just showed up and they did the thing. Like,
right.
like great. Like I know a bunch of dudes that like have zero work ethic and are like borderline disabled, like mentally, that like, oh, I do all this thing and like I got this certificate or this degree and like they couldn't solve their way out of a wet paper bag.
Hell, they let Trench Grenade be a drill instructor.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I mean, I could take somebody in both of you guys in a matter of less than a week, and you can get way better results than a massage therapist. Way better, like ridiculously better results.
I bet. Yeah.
Where it's like blowing your mind how much stuff is shifting underneath your hands by just getting out of your own way. Getting out of the person's way, dialoguing with them and letting stuff shift. And then from there, tweaking and adjusting, like dialogue maybe once a month, and in a year you'll just be so friggin' proficient at the body, it'd blow your mind.
Hmm.
Of course, you're working on people on a regular basis, so you got that
Mm-hmm.
develop that skill set and dirt time.
So Sam says, "Do the feet? You got to let the feet. Yes,
Well,
but like, what the question now is
yeah,
like, what if?
Bill gets a little bit uh, more into the nuance of how said feet
Well, that's
can feet.
right. That's what I was gonna say. What if the feet could feet better?
Yeah.
Like that's a everybody asks, do the feet, but not how do the feet, and
Yeah, like get a lot of the training in Sistema, or there's an element of training that's just walking, and it's walking relaxed. And it's easier to walk relaxed if you're disengaging the neurological patterns that are causing you not to walk relaxed.
yeah, and that was an interesting concept that you talked about both times you were down here. Is just that like once you start to notice these patterns, you realize that just about everybody's walking around tense, and then they have that built up bodily trauma that they're just constantly holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
Like if people would say like, oh well, what like what's walking, and like it's a thing we talk with Sunny about is like, oh, I know how to breathe or I know how to step, and it's like what are the odds, like how many patients have you seen that like, walk in and can walk totally relaxed? I would assume
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much
right.
none.
Well,
Like
nobody really, unless they're practicing it.
right.
So a lot of people, when they put shoes on, the types of shoes on, because we went over that, you have heels in your
Ah,
shoes. Heel, and when I'm talking about heels, I'm not necessarily talking about huge heels. You could have a small, like a dress shoe heel, or something even smaller than that, and it can create tension in the hips and lower back that causes hips and lower back pain. And barefoot or zero
mm-hmm.
shoes are going
No.
to be the best.
So, question for you on that, because I've heard you now, not just in person talking, but watching some of your stuff out there, or it was a session with some clients or a call
Mm-hmm.
with some clients, and you recommend the zero drop. Do you? I'm guessing you advocate the wide toe box as well, because they do have zero drop that are still narrow and constricting on the toe box for
Mm-hmm.
like the fashion aspect of it. So it's not a big wide shoe.
Oh, got it.
So when is that something when you say zero drop, you're referring to the full on barefoot with the like extra wide toe box and the zero drop together, or do you think the toe splay is not as important
No,
as
I think
the?
the toe splay is important. I think wearing the shoe and feeling comfortable in the shoe, and a lot of times people don't understand what comfortable is.
Yeah,
That's the piece. So they could have the zero drop shoe, but their toes are squished in there with a narrow toe
yeah,
box, and they're like, "Oh, that's comfortable."
yeah. My ex would say high heels were comfortable.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know how you wear those. They're actually pretty comfortable. I'm
and
like, whoa.
they all have tibia overrides,
She,
right?
she had a pretty good tibia override.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying it doesn't look good. I'm just saying it's not functional. It's not a long term.
I was the one riding the tibia in that relationship.
I was wearing the tibia in that relationship. We got any questions? Anything?
No, you mongoloids better ask some questions.
Are they all mongoloids?
For the
These
most
ones,
part.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Rich and Don and Sam and
Don't look down
yeah.
at them. There's Christina.
Christina, not so much.
Yeah. Well, maybe some days. Put your Christina. Put website. Your website up there. so people can talk to you about homeopathy. And the irony of the concepts and principles that I taught in the class are identical in homeopathy. But
So once you know the way you see it and everything.
yeah, it's like identical. That's why what I was saying is I encouraged the class to ask me questions or challenge what I was talking about, because everything, from my understanding, everything that I'm going to teach, study, know is based on universal principles. So I'm going to be able to apply it to the body. You're going to be able to apply it to tracking in the woods. You're going to be able to apply it to cooking. You're going to be able to apply it to relationships, gun stuff, whatever it is. And if it's not a universal principle, what does Sonny call it? It's like
Sacred cow.
no, fractured, or it's
Mm-hmm.
isolated. Like it's just
Fragmented.
fragmented. There you go. And if something is fragmented, I need to know that. If something that I'm teaching is fragmented, I need to be aware of that, because then I need to kind of put it on the back burner and wait either till it integrates or just drop it altogether, because it no longer works. It's no longer applicable as a universal principle. And that's why we can sit and we can talk about whatever, and it's going to make sense because it's a universal principle.
Are there some things that are fragmented that could potentially have value? I'm trying to.
Like the bill drill. I haven't been able to tie that.
Yeah, well, I'd say that's pretty fragmented and close to not much value. But that's an interesting kind of thought thing.
What's
Like,
that?
can if it is fragmented,
Mm-hmm.
does it by that nature not bring value? Or can something be fragmented and still have value to be applied back at a whole look or something?
That's what Sonny was talking about, like some of the things that we do, like
In
in isolation, but
it's
not
part
fragmented.
of, right, it's part of a whole. So isolation, okay. Fragmentation,
Right.
0 stars.
Right.
What do you guys think? Drop a comment below.
I mean, I have difficulty talking about theory. Like if you give a practical example of a thing that's fragmented, then I could wrap my brain around it. But people are like, "Oh my back hurts." Okay, I need more information. I need to have a practical thing. I want to understand how the injury happened, how you move that makes it hurt. So I need to connect it with something uh, that I can wrap my brain around, and then we could work with it.
Right.
But if you just, my back hurts, and it's like just dropping it like right there, then there's not a whole lot. There isn't a place you can go with it.
I asked a question somewhat getting the same response during class, and it seemed like you're getting very close to, like we would say, zeroing the gun, right? Where you're getting pretty darn close to certain you're zeroed in before you start pressing a shot. Right. Where like Sam as a machine gunner, they do stuff like walking it in, where they just start pressing the trigger and the bullets start landing in the dirt, and then they just kind of move it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Where it seems like, yeah, you're getting to the roots of someone's issue before just like, okay, well, if your back hurt, like, well, does this feel better? Does that feel
Yeah.
better? You're
Yeah.
gonna get.
I think I think it's taking I think it's taking and integrating the experience. What we're asking is taking your experience of back pain as a fragmentation or an outlier and figuring out how we can ask questions to bring it in with the understanding. Is that
Yeah,
making sense?
yeah.
Like, we were talking about guns last night, and it's like, oh, I want to buy a gun. Okay,
Yeah.
well, what do
Are
you
you
want to
trying to
use it?
do?
Yeah, well, it's like you gotta the desire to buy a gun is isolated somehow,
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to pull it into how this is applicable, and it's not just a fragmented thought that you have or a fragmented question.
So,
My life. When we take things out of context, that's when we stray from truth. This is how we turn single events into social proof of a travesty, proof of racism, etc. Okay. I think Sonny's here.
yeah.
We have to be very careful taking things out of context or only using fragments. It also depends on our commitment to searching for truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm kind of leaning that way, thinking that if something's fragmented, it's almost no value. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I say, or the example, yeah, well, I want to buy a gun. Like, what should I get? Like that question is almost no value
Mm-hmm.
to me because you're not bringing enough.
Yeah, it's almost like they haven't spent the effort. They're almost intellectually being lazy about not spending the time to build.
Well, or they have a lack of awareness of self.
Yeah.
They haven't thought about what's motivating them to this. It's an emotional thing. Oh boy.
Sonny.
That's okay. No. You've been there. I'll
Okay.
pop my head in when
There.
There you go.
Sideways.
Sonny's here.
sideways.
It's like have them hooked on a Pravilo, like drag them across the screen. I'd be interested to hear the kettlebell Pravilo conversation at some point between you guys.
I
But
think I think that conversation is probably, for one, probably Bill would want to see some more of what we do with kettlebells and then try it out.
Yeah, definitely. There's
because it's definitely different from what he's seen from derivatives of kettlebell sport.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit too early, but I think it would be eventually would be a good, interesting conversation. From his perspective, to kind of no, it's okay. I know how to kneel down. I have experience with that. From his vantage point of what he does, to to give his take, so to speak. So maybe in a few months or whatnot, we'll arrange something online.
Yeah, the element of it that I was looking at from the two brief conversations we had around it was the fact that I can take the Pravilo with the weight being very light, and now I can move in all sorts of very similar type of movements, but it's, I don't know. Like I said, I need more time on it to play around with it to formulate.
Yeah, I think the big difference with Pravilo and the kettlebell, because they kind of, I think, well, with kettlebell, which is outside of kettlebell sport, is that with kettlebell, you work more with, there is more compression. With Pravilo is more of extension
Right.
as far as towards your connections, right?
Yep.
But a lot of what we see in kettlebell sport is basically using unconventional tool in conventional ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my kind of, not negativity towards kettlebell sport, but the view that it's far from complete and far from really taking advantage of what kettlebell has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. Yeah.
so what's up with the Sam's shoulder? Sorry if I smell bad because I was burning about 4 truckloads of wood and all that shit, so I probably smell like
Smoke.
fireman smoke and all that. Yeah.
So Sam's shoulder, he tweaked it during jiu-jitsu. And
Duh.
then, probably something like remnants of carrying the automatic grenade launcher or whatever. Probably tweaked it then and let it
Wasn't
go.
Sam like a saw gunner or something like that? Yeah.
His backup gun was a big grenade launcher.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like my main carry gun was 155 millimeter artillery piece, and backup was 40 millimeter EGS 17. Cool.
There's Christina.
Hello, Christina.
There's Rich.
All rise. Don't do that, Rich. I'll make you sit.
I told Bill if Rich goes for a Pravilo session, because he was like, the only joint we don't do traction on the Pravilo is the neck, and I said, oh no, with Rich, go for it. So you get him hooked up in that Pravilo and then go out to dinner.
No, with Rich, you don't need Pravilo with Rich. You just fucking gallows pole. It's...
So Sam says the saw is only 17 pounds.
Only 17 pounds when you have to carry it for 26 miles. Yeah, it's only 17 pounds. Sam, you would enjoy working with 17-pound kettlebell.
I'll take the 7.
Yeah. That's where you go like, you know what? M4 or AK is about the right weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least today we have more people watching than the last week when we asked the question about how is your conditioning. There was very few people tuning in.
Yeah, more people injured than wanting to
when I answer about conditioning.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Words hurt.
Well, you know what they say about the word? It's like a bird, man. Once you let it go, you're not catching it again.
Yep.
Unless you got some buckshot, baby.
Wow, lots. I'm going to learn that from Tim soon enough, I suppose.
Oh, so we were going to put up Christina's website here.
Yep. Yeah, give everybody a rundown.
Homeopathy. This is my wife. She does homeopathy. Does phenomenal work. If someone wants an alternative to conventional meds and a different way of helping the body heal, it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Helps with mental, emotional, physical, all sorts of stuff. So it's extremely effective. So that is her. Oh, I gotta go over here.
Yep.
That's her pharmacy. She's got about 3,000 remedies in her pharmacy. So each of these come from either a plant, an animal, or a mineral.
Wow.
And what they do is they dilute that plant, animal, or mineral substance into a solution, and they continue to dilute it, and then they shake it, which is called succussion. And that succussion makes a different potency or strength of each of the frequencies or each of the remedies. So each remedy will help with something that ails you. So if you have issues with tinnitus ringing in your ears, there is a specific remedy that would cause your nervous system to respond in a certain way to negate the tinnitus or indigestion or headaches. So she's constantly asking more and more questions to understand which specific remedy is going to make the difference in what you're dealing with. And she's looking at it from two different perspectives. One is like an acute symptom or a chronic symptom. An acute symptom is going to be like, well, I just fell and smacked my knee, and my knee's swollen, and it's hot, and I can't straighten my leg out. So each of those symptoms would correspond with a specific remedy to help the knee heal from smacking the knee, as opposed to a constitutional remedy, which is going to look over a broader perspective of your tendencies to look at situations or get stuck in ruts or depression or lower back pain or whatever it is. So she's taking all of that into consideration to give you a systemic constitutional remedy to help your body heal. There's a lot of stuff right now that I'm working on personally with her around brain. I got a lot of concussions. Played judo 15 years. Hit the ground a lot of times over 15 years. Got thrown in my head a lot of times over 15 years. Got into car accidents and a lot of stuff where I got hit in the head with playing sports or whatever it is. And combination of that as well as vaccines that I got when I was younger are having an effect of how I'm able to deal
That
with.
totally work and have no ill effects.
That's what I hear. Trust the science, bro.
So for the people watching, how would they go about getting these remedies? So like, say Sam, I would assume he, like a lot of other gun dudes, has tinnitus. So does he just send an email?
So you can go to right here to book an appointment, and there are different types of appointments that Christina has, and it depends on what you're dealing with. Meaning, if it's like an acute thing, let's see, what does she got here? I think she'll take like short things that are going on. Like, let's say, oh, I just got into a car accident and I just feel all shook up. And then she could get on the phone with you for 30 minutes and then get a remedy to you. Or it's an initial appointment.
So everything's bespoke or custom tailored to
yes you. Yeah, that isn't like if you want a remedy, you can call a homeopathic pharmacy and they'll send it to you. You want arnica for a bump or a bruise or something like that, you can go get it that way. But she's making custom made remedies based on what you're telling her. So it's very, very detailed and intricate.
So she could do something that would deal with like Rich's incontinence and ED.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Christina.
Got you, Rich.
Sorry, Christina, but if
you
get a call from Rich, he is going to need help with those two things.
So when we were on Sonny's podcast, Christina and I were on Sonny's podcast, and we were talking about bestiality and poop. So it's not going to get much. It's not going to get much worse than that. So whatever you're dealing with, And there is stuff that she explains that remedies are chosen very specifically based on your particular symptoms. Even if you and friend have the same diagnosis, you have slightly different symptoms, emotions, and need different remedies.
Hmm.
Meaning, like, you and Rich can both have ED, but because of your emotional states, there would be different remedies.
Yeah, I need like a more manly fix to
Right.
that. I wouldn't believe the things that she's heard and seen. Yeah, that's sometimes like we'll have ER doc or nurse or paramedic in class, and like one of our buddies, Jay Gibson, his favorite thing to do to those guys is like, craziest thing you've seen stuck in a butt, go. And like at first they're like put off, but then they're like, well, actually, this one time,
Yeah.
So yeah, I bet you've got some definitely good stories.
Well, I think that's a testament to the rapport that she builds with her clients, because some things can be very embarrassing
Mm-hmm.
to talk about. And when I know there's clients that I've worked with that as the longer I work with them, the more they trust me, and then we're able to talk about different things that they're struggling with. That physically you can shift the tension in their body and it helps. And with Christina, it's much more in depth and personalized than even what I do because she's sitting there really listening. So it's almost like a therapist that she's sitting and talking with someone. And then not only do you get that off your chest, but now you're getting something that's actually going to help you move past all of those things that you just shared. Because many times that's why talking about things can lead you kind of in this loop. Well, I talked about it. Now I need to talk about it again, and I need to talk about it again, and talk about it again. And what homeopathy does is it allows your nervous system to shift past those things. So um, the trauma, the accident, the injury, whatever you had going on, the emotional things, how you fell off a swing when you were 2 or whatever the hell it was, you can get past those things and you aren't stuck with the past, holding on and rehashing those stories all over again.
Hmm. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth. I would say just set up a time because you could set up like a meet and greet with her and just talk to her for 15 minutes, and you'll get a better understanding of what how homeopathy can help or what you're dealing with in your life. And a lot of times, there's a lot of people across the board they just don't know who to talk to and they want to get help and they go to a medical doctor and then they don't want to get a prescription because they know it's just going to numb the symptoms.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people, Christina and I have a nonprofit that works with first responders and veterans, and a lot of those guys are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because if they go get help, now there's a stigma around it.
Right.
And it's kind of what we were talking about around the ego thing. They're kind of on this hamster wheel that they got to keep churning and moving forward, even though it's detrimental to their overall health, their relationship, their marriage, their family, their job, and all of that. They don't know how to get off of that hamster wheel, get the support that they need so they don't burn out in the process or the body doesn't break in the process. Well, Christina says very confidential.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, really, that's kind of a a sign of immaturity if you're going to have somebody
Yeah.
really share some important shit and you're going to go tell somebody.
Right.
I mean, how
like-
friggin' retarded
Like
is
Bill
that?
P. from North Carolina had a problem with this, that, the other thing.
I mean,
Man, he was messed up.
the government listens to our conversations anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
you know,
Yeah. I wonder, like if I had a call with Christina, but then my FBI agent called her and was like, "Here's what he's really having problems with."
I want to add that to his
Yeah.
file.
Like, I think he probably needs something for this as well.
Right. Or the times where, like, theoretically the government, like, did that to people on a mass scale without
Well,
them knowing.
Actually, like the government
Fiction,
doesn't-
of course.
The government
Yeah.
doesn't spy on us. It's private
corporations.
Private
Well,
corporations.
well,
that
I
do
meant-
it,
Better
right?
in bed with the government.
Well, I meant the
all in the
non-consensual
framing.
remedies,
Yeah.
things putting in water
or sprayed in the air.
or
Yeah.
sprayed in the air, probably.
That's another one. We
Yeah.
should
Food.
we
You
should
know,
do
in Star
yeah.
Trek, because that's
Yeah.
obviously can't happen.
I'm totally happy that Bill Gates coats all of my apples to make them safe for me. This is great.
Mhm. Yeah.
I guess that's another conversation that'd be fun to kind of all have together.
He's thoughtful.
Yeah, very thoughtful man. Yeah. He has that one thought that was it. The Earth is about
Overpopulated.
about 80% too populated.
Yeah. And if they do a really
Interesting.
good job with vaccines, they can reduce it by 15%.
Fantastic.
Good to know.
On that note, guys, before the string gets cut out on us, we'll have to start that one from fresh. But we've been at 2 hours. I'm sure Sonny wants to touch base with Bill and be able to head back home at a reasonable hour. We've got a big week and month or another week and a half, 2 weeks of training going on.
I head back to North Carolina tomorrow.
Yeah. Bill's heading back. Check out sonnypazikas.com for the rest of the schedule of March Madness. And guys, I'm telling you, there's a Fight Like a Girl class coming up in April. It's not just for women. I was just explaining that to someone at the seminar that you did. He was trying to get his friend to come training with Sonny. I was like, dude, that's a good class to get in on. Because it's
Does he
kind
give out
of-
certificates for that?
kind of right and direct to the point. No, I don't think you get certified as fighting like a girl. That would be fun.
That would be
Right.
perfect.
A little
Yeah.
pin. A little
Yeah.
pin.
Like, you fight very much like a girl now. Signed, Sonny Bazikas.
Cuddles with Sonny.
He's probably gonna hit me as soon as we go inside. Anything else you want to say, Bill, before we close
I
out?
think that's good. Yeah, if myself or my wife can help you with anything, please let us know. And I'm open to conversations around coming to teach in different areas. Where it looks like after today, I'll be back here again.
Very cool. All right, guys. Josh, say something cool.